Hi, Jeremy. Thank you so much for taking out the time to share your experience with myself, but other firm owners that might be considering enrolling in our 8-week sales mastery course here at the Abundant Accountant. And I'd love it before we dive into some questions that I have for you. What type of firm do you have, and where are you at in the country, and how long have you had your firm?
Yeah, so I've been open for almost a year now. I started May of 2024,
Mhm.
and I do fractional CFO services, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, but I definitely can oversee anywhere. The nice thing about technology anymore is you can kind of be a fractional CFO for companies that are all over the nation.
Awesome. And what was your biggest challenge, Jeremy, that you would love to share with another firm owner that might be just starting out with their fractional CFO firm, or maybe they've had it for a year, just like you? Like, what for you was the biggest challenge that you had with your fractional CFO firm?
Well, I'm a natural accountant. Having comfortableness of being in a conversation with anybody, there was a lot of accountanese. There's a lot of things that I just didn't know how to even speak with people.
Yeah.
Um, and so when you sat down with people, I just didn't have any sort of process. And so I knew that I needed something to be able to help me get over, for one, the fear, but two, actually making sure that I could confidently speak to people in the right way.
Yeah. And were you missing out on people saying yes to you and engaging in fractional CFO services? Or what was that moment you decided to do something about this? How much money had you lost or missed opportunities did you have before you're like, okay, I need to make a change?
Yeah, I would say I probably lost close to 100 grand just because of the fact that, I didn't know where to go or how to price or how to even start the engagement process. And as well, I didn't really know how to have a upfront process rather than trying to chase the AR, those kind of things.
Right.
So it was really, it's probably close to 100 grand if you put it all together at this point, starting out. But at the same time, it was just there was no confidence. So there was even people that I didn't even know who or like how to even start the conversation, which what was that worth, right? That's probably worth so much more than that I can't even put a dollar on.
Right. But you had enough missed opportunities and people did not pay you where you're like, okay, I need to do something about it. So I'd love it if you could share, Jeremy, with other newer firm owners too. How did you realize you had a sales problem? How did you realize that you needed support in this area around your sales conversations?
Well, anytime I talk about sales, I get kind of almost tongue tied, right? And you don't even know where to start. And
Hmm.
so whenever you talk about how do you grow, how do you get to the next step? Well, the first thing comes back to sales. Like, how do you actually talk to the people? And as a natural accountant, you like to just stay in your spreadsheets. You don't really like to have the conversations. And so it's really coming out and saying, how do I have that conversation and confidently be able to come to somebody and say, hey, I have a service for you that you need.
Hmm.
And I now have to be able to make them feel confident and comfortable with me. And if I'm not comfortable with myself, they're never going to get comfortable with me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really amazing realization that you had early on, before you got years into this, and kept missing opportunities to help people, like you said, with a solution that you have to solve some of their major accounting and, CFO needs that they had. I'd love it if you could share, how did you find the Abundant Accountant, and what were some of your initial skepticisms, before you decided to jump in and work with us?
So I found Abundant Accountant through Facebook. Just there's all the different Facebook ads,
Yep.
and I just kind of clicked on it.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think, oh, this is going to become something that I really need to take in. But it was really when I was called by one of your team members, Molly,
Mhm.
that I was able to feel comfortable and like she took the time and she took the process. And when I got off the phone after I engaged with you, I talked to my business partner who was also on the call, and I told her, I was like, well, what's funny is they use the exact process that I need. And so that's when I really knew I needed this process was because of the way she made me feel in the conversation
Yep.
and the way that she really helped through the process and guided through the process. She took her time. She did every piece of this process. And now that I've learned it, I'm like, hey, she did it to the T.
Oh, good job, Molly.
Yes,
That's
Molly was
awesome.
great.
And I'm glad you realized that you felt, comfortable talking to her and opening up and sharing the challenges and realizing that. I know your realization came after you had engaged us and paid and enrolled. Was there any skepticisms or objections that you had before you decided to engage with us and enroll that you didn't maybe that you had to work through when you were actually on the phone call?
Yeah, of course. Like there's always a price objection. There's always is this really what I need? Is this
Right,
really where I need to go?
right.
And the thing that I really felt was, and I'm a feeler, was I was being heard. I was being like she was taking that emotional train for it.
Yeah.
And so it really made me feel like, hey, she knew what I needed. And she even asked me questions that I never would have asked myself. And so did it have questions that I kind of had some objections to, but then it was like the pain, right? I got into my pain and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like it just
Yeah.
kind of was unsettling to where it even made it to the point where I'm like, okay, I just need to go. I need to jump. Let's do this. Let's take an investment in myself
Mm-hmm.
and let's go full bore. And
Love that.
the course was great. The course was great for what I needed.
Yeah, so I know you say it's great, but what would you say have been some of your biggest wins and victories that you've had in just the last 8 weeks that you would love to share, Jeremy, with another new firm owner who
Yeah.
might be starting a fractional CFO firm, or maybe they've been in this for about a year, that you wish you would have heard in one of these videos? What are some of those wins and victories that you've had that were just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I needed to know this? Or, yeah, share that with us.
Well, it's understanding people's feelings, right? Like you don't really think about going to conversations and understanding people's feelings and really understanding the psychology of it,
Mhm.
because sales is really psychology.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, it was like, hey, this is what I have to offer. But really, what this made me have was, how can I start building relationships? How can I also start building my network? Because it's greater than just what my sales is. It's actually growing that know, like, and trust factor that
Yeah.
people understand this is where I sit. I had a clear intention, a lot clearer intention once I actually got clarity of where I wanted my firm to go. I am new, and there was points in time that I'm like, do I want to do more bookkeeping? Do I want like yes, I'm doing fractional CFO services, but do I want to add some services? How do I add that? And this gave me clarity of like with clear intention to go full bore ahead.
Mhm.
And I think that's where people get confused is because you hear everybody on the market that, hey, I do this and I do that. Well, it's you and you are yourself and you are what that those people need. And
Mhm.
so have clear intention with yourself and it's a lot easier to sell to these other folks. And I didn't really realize that until I had this course.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'd love it, Jeremy, if you could share what do you like best about this program? And if you've worked with other coaches or have tried anything else in the past on your own, but it didn't work, how did this compare working with us here at the Abundant Accountant and being in our 8 week sales mastery course than other things that maybe you've tried in the past?
Yeah, accountability, right? 100%. Michelle and your team is holds us accountable. And the thing is most coaching platforms, they just go, well, you don't do it, I got your money. See you later.
Mhm.
But your team, I know I was late to a couple calls, and guess what? I had multiple calls of Jack and different people saying, "Hey, where are you? Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And so those are the things that really help know that there's other people that truly care in this program to make you succeed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always happen. A lot of people just want the money and they'll provide you with the videos and see you later. This has really great accountability for that piece.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Jeremy. What words of wisdom would you share with another firm owner who's really serious about making a change, growing their firm? Maybe they're in the job and they want to quit and start their own firm. What words of wisdom would you share for someone that's listening right now that maybe you wish you would have heard before, or just something that we didn't cover yet that you'd love to share?
Yeah, don't be afraid to take on something for yourself. uh, you are worth what you know you are worth.
Hmm.
But this course also helps you learn what you're truly worth. And so at the end of the day, you have put in the time, you have done the work, and don't be afraid to be able to sell that to folks. And this course helps you be able to see what your worth is, how you can provide the process and procedures to get there. It gives you the how, it gives you all the stuff, but at the same time, it gives you the psychology to be able to keep pushing forward to take that leap. And that's my biggest thing is you have to make those steps forward
Yeah.
and make those leaps of faith, right? But I would say it's going right into an easy, accountable process that they're going to be able to take you forward,
Mhm.
and your company is only going to benefit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing. And I can't wait to see how things transpire for you and just keep up the great work. And, you'll never lose $100,000 of revenue ever again. It's only onward and upward, and you'll never have your AR anymore. It's all money in the bank, cash in the bank.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. I
keep up the
appreciate
great
you.
work. And, when you put in the work, you get these kinds of results. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share that maybe I didn't even ask you that you're like, I want to say this before we wrap up?
I think if anybody has questions on Abundant Accountant, they need to reach out, and don't be afraid. At any point in time, I'm here, and this is something that's real, and it's it's a true process that can make differences in your business. And so go take that and then implement the process, get the proper profit out of it, and become better. Your firm will just grow and become better.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
You're welcome.